What the f?
All right, so just like I used to do the videos of the AT&T Malibus, I buy them in bulk. Today it's a tale of two Cavaliers. I've really splurged this week. I've bought some real high-end vehicles. Two Cavaliers with the EcoTech 2.2, not the older 2200. This one right here is an 03 with the electrical tape mirror, and the one with the meteorite door is an 04. They both have low mileage despite their appearance. This one has 89,000 miles. This one has 91,000 miles. So you're probably wondering, why the heck did I buy one Cavalier, let alone two? Well, long story short, my girlfriend's mother has been looking for a cheap vehicle. And I told her, hey, I'll find you something. And so I found this one first. Right away when she said cheap car, she just wants something small, economical, cheap, low cost of maintenance. Doesn't really care as much about the way it looks. Just something to beat around the city with. The first thing that came to my mind was a Cavalier. I love these cars for what they are. They're just simple, basically bulletproof transportation. Nothing more. No frills. Now, there are cool Cavalier packages like the Z24, but I'm talking just your standard cockroach Cavalier like these two. These cars never die. So with these two having under 100,000 miles, they will be around for many more years to come despite their appearance. Now, some of you are going to run down in the comments and say, oh wow, the timing chains, the timing chain guides. Yes, that's very true, but a timing job on these engines is not that bad. And again, they give you a pretty good heads up when their tensioners are tired. Some people tell you to change it every 70,000 miles. Some people just wait until they start hearing chain noise. Both these engines do not exhibit any signs of timing chain tensioner or guide failure. I don't hear any timing noise on cold start or running at all. They do still have the original tensioners. There's an updated version, it has a little hump on the back in these engines. And I'm very familiar with these engines. I've had a lot of Cavaliers, Cobalts. My girlfriend, I gave her a Cobalt years ago, one that kept coming back to me, another little cockroach car. I sold that car, it would get traded back into me a year later, sold it again, it get traded back in. There's nothing wrong with it. People just wanted to upgrade because it was just basic. Totally base car, manual windows, manual locks, a Fisher-Price interior. The Cavalier interiors are way nicer than a Cobalt interior, even though the Cobalt is a little more high-end of a car on the ladder, I guess. I guess the Cobalt was the replacement for the Cavalier, but they have the same engine. So anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent there, but I'm very familiar with these engines, and I know when they sound healthy. And these two, despite how ugly they look, they're very healthy. They're in great condition. They were both owned by little old ladies. The Florida sun and typical hit and run Miami driving has just taken a toll on both these cars. But mechanically, they're sound. And the interiors are almost showroom new. They're immaculate. That's because they were little old ladies' cars. There wasn't some big McDonald's eating guy driving this thing around, crapping all over the seat and whatever. I mean, the interiors are pristine. So I knew it would be more important to my girlfriend's mother to have a clean interior than the outside being all fresh looking. And again, I can do some stuff to both these cars to make them look better, but you have to remember at the end of the day, they're Cavaliers. They'll never be worth more than $1,200. $1,500 if you're lucky. I've been selling these cars for years. I would get some real nice examples from AT&T at auction, just like the AT&T Malibus. I mean, 60,000 miles, good paint, good interior, great maintenance. They needed nothing. New tires on them. The most I get for them is $1,500. They were a little bit older than these. They were late 90s Cavaliers or 2000, 2001. They weren't the facelifted ones, but nobody cares. A Cavalier is a Cavalier. It can be a 95, it can be a 2004. Nobody cares. It's just a Cavalier. It's like buying a Corolla. Oh, I don't care if it's a 95 or an 05. It's just going to get me around. So I know it sounds like I'm knocking these cars, but I love them. You know, they're great. Whenever people ask me, what's a good cheap car, Al? I need something under $1,000, minimal maintenance needed. You guys know me, I'm not really a Japanese car guy. I finally get rid of that stupid SER that I bought impulsively. I'm not really a Japanese car guy. There's plenty of good ones, you know, I'm not trying to say there isn't, but there's always another option. These cars are just as reliable as any Corolla and any Civic. Some of you may disagree with me, and that's fine, but I've seen these things with 400,000 or 500,000 miles on them, still on the original timing chain tensioners and guides. All these cars ask for is regular oil changes. If you do that, you'll never have a problem with them. So anyway, wait until I tell you what I paid for these cars, and I'm not really proud of it. But again, that's the market right now. I've been looking for weeks. I've looked at several other cars. Again, this is for her mother, and I'm also looking for me for other inventory. But I refuse to buy pretty much anything from auction right now because the prices are crazy. These cars would have sold for twice as much at auction versus what I paid for them private sale. And even still, I feel like I overpaid. But some of you will probably say I got a good deal on them. Some of you will agree with me and say, too much. But the market right now is different. It's inflated there's several reasons. I discussed them in my previous video. But the market's up on cheap cars. You know, people have got their stimulus money. People are collecting unemployment. They're making more money than they used to make. You know, sitting at home collecting unemployment. And not to generalize, but those are the kind of people who buy these kind of cars. You know, it's not the guy who makes $150,000 a year, you know, now going out and paying more money for a Cavalier. It's the people who are on the bottom end of the car market who buy cheap beater cars. Now they have more money, and now they want to go buy a car or an extra car or whatever. And it's bringing the prices up. That's my theory. There's other reasons too, but that's just keeping it brief. So let's get on with the numbers. The 03, the green Cavalier with 89,000 miles. They're both clean title, by the way. They may not look like it, but they're both clean title. This one I paid $600 for, which you've seen some of the cars I've bought for under $600. My 50,000 mile Bonneville SSEI, one owner, it's pristine. Almost every car in my fleet I've paid under $500 for, you know, because I've been going to the auctions for years and back when things sold for normal prices. But again, that's not the market right now. I could go, if you can tell I'm frustrated, I'm sure. So this car was $600, but let me tell you why I like it. Little old lady's car, good service history, oil changes done on time. The interior is in excellent condition, especially for a Florida car. You can see it's got clear coat issues. It's been out in the Florida sun. These cars were painted with garbage paint to begin with. And this always happens with them. They always crack in the middle here. The airbag did not deploy. Look at the dashboard. Not too shabby for a, what is this thing, 17 years old now? Whatever it is, 17-year-old Cavalier. It's been in the Florida sun since day one. They put some carpet over that top trim piece there by the windshield. I'm assuming it's because it's cracked, but it looks good. They did a nice job. And I'm sure they've replaced this plastic bezel. And they're expensive. The replacements online are like $140. But I'm sure they've replaced this because this plastic feels way too sturdy. If this was original and I touched it like that right now, it would break into a million pieces. It's got CD, power windows, power locks. Pretty rare for a Cavalier. This thing's pretty loaded up. I shouldn't say rare, but more of them were base than they were loaded up like this. It's a good radio too. You know, the older GM radios before they went to the garbage stuff in like 2005, like the Cobalt has. So yeah, this thing's in great condition. You can see I haven't cleaned either of these cars. This is as I received them. I bought them both today. And, you know, I don't have much time invested in these. I don't plan on having much time invested in these. I don't want anything for my girlfriend's mother. I'm doing this just to help her out. And it makes content for you guys. We'll do some Cavalier videos and whatever. I don't want a buck out of her. I just want her to have a good, reliable car. So power optioned up car. Body is in pretty good shape. Most of the paint I think will clean up on this thing. Besides the roof and the bumper, a little spot here and there. And it's got some, as we call it down here in South Florida, some Hialeah bodywork. right there. But again, the expectation with this car should be low. It's transportation. But this one looks pretty good from like 30 feet away. It's got some nice Walmart wheel covers. The front tires are brand new, and they got great tread because they're brand new. I guess that would make sense. Brand new front brakes too. So this one has a little more maintenance than the red one over here, but this has a lot of new parts. I'll get to that in a minute. So what's wrong with this one? The AC isn't working. Little old lady told me, you know, so she stopped driving. That's how I got this car, both these cars. This has been sitting since May when she stopped driving and her license got revoked or whatever. I bought it from the kid. In both scenarios, even though this car was, I don't know, they had no connection, but it was the same scenario. The AC used to blow cold. It's been sitting, now it doesn't. I have a feeling that if I throw a little bit of Freon in this, the compressor will kick right back on. It probably has a slow leak somewhere. We'll figure that out. And what else is wrong with this? Needed a battery. The battery was totally dead. I've got my Malibu's battery in it right now. You can see a little bit of quarter damage right there. That was literally it. Again, no timing noise, no service lights, everything is tight. So that's the green Cavalier. The red one, 91,000 miles, only 2,000 miles more than the green one. So you can see right away with the red car, it's got the meteorite door over here. It got hit. Fortunately, the damage is isolated just to the door. You can see there's no damage to the rocker panel or anything like that. It's strictly the door. That's an easy fix. Get a junkyard door for 40 bucks, throw it on. It doesn't need a door. If you want to make it look better, you put a door on it. If you don't care, you drive it as is. I wanted to give her both options. The $300 car, which is what I paid for this one, that looks like hell, but drives just as good as this one, or pay a little bit more money, get one that looks a little bit better and has power options. And she ended up choosing, and I'll tell you in a minute which one she ended up choosing. I got to keep you here with the video a little bit longer. I got to milk this Cavalier content as much as I can. You can see this one's also been in a front end collision. Nothing serious. The crash bar isn't damaged at all, but the hood, it needs the latch adjusted. Whoever reinstalled it put it too high. The bumper's been replaced. The green one's bumper is actually, I don't know how well you can see, I know it's pretty dark, but the green one's bumper is actually cracked. So really, you either get the unpainted bumper or the cracked bumper, but you can't tell if you're looking at it this way, which is nice. They're both missing the grill, the little grill. It's like a little slat, goes on each side with a bow tie in the middle. They're both missing it. They both need the headlights buffed. They both have mirror problems. Again, these cars always have the same issues, and they're so stupid. You know, dumb little issues that affect nothing. The green one, it's got an electrical taped mirror in there. This one is here, but it shakes around like it's having a seizure when you're driving. I can probably fix that in 2 minutes. So this car is the base car. I'm not sure how base it is, but it's pretty base. It's got crank windows, manual locks, has AC. But anyway, I wanted to give her both options, and she actually looked at both cars for a while. This was today, earlier today. She was really, you know, undecided. She was leaning toward, I don't want to tell you yet which one, but she was leaning toward one of them from the beginning. Then she started leaning toward the other one a little bit, but ultimately she chose the one she initially thought she would want. And I'll tell you which one that is in a minute. I don't think you'll be too surprised. This one on the inside, this interior is even nicer. Besides the missing plastic piece there, the dash bezel, and the piece by the windshield, which the red doesn't look too bad, but you get a big gap between the dashboard and the windshield. This interior is immaculate. I mean, it looks showroom fresh. I haven't cleaned this car. Imagine with a wipe down, with the Armor All wipe. Look at how pristine. The seats. And this one's got tint too, I just noticed, which is nice, you know, help keep that interior cool, even though the tint job is not one of the best ones I've seen. But look at this interior. I don't think anybody's ever sat in this back seat before. This car is pristine inside, showroom. That's why I just had to buy it. For 300 bucks, I don't care what you say. You can't go wrong with any, and Me as a car dealer, I'll say this with all the confidence in the world. You cannot go wrong with any vehicle that's 300 bucks and under. If it runs, drives, does one or the other, the part value's there, even if it's a Cavalier. The tricky part is when you go to sell it, because a car at 300 bucks, unless it's a special exception like the ones I normally buy, that I buy them for under 300 bucks, do the repairs, sell them for 3 to 4 grand. But something like this, these Cavaliers, like I was saying at the start of the video, you're lucky to get 1,500 for them. Lucky. And there's nothing worse than selling a cheap car. You get the worst buyers. And I'm not talking about income level. I'm talking about IQ level. These people expect a Rolls Royce for 1,000 bucks. If there's a ding on the car, if there's a creak in the car, what's this? What's that? They ask you 400 questions before they come out and see it, if they even come see it at all. I hate selling $1,000 cars. I always lean more toward $3,000 cars. It's not $5,000 where it limits your market because it's a little more expensive. It's not $1,000 where you get all the tire kickers and the idiots. You're right in the middle. That's where I seem to do the best. $3,000 to $4,000. The Cavalier that does not stay with my girlfriend's mother is going to be a hard sell, just because it's a Cavalier. But I don't really care. Neither of these cars need that much work. They're not going to take me that much time. I have more time invested in this video so far. Well, maybe not more time, but it's getting close to the amount of time I spent buying both these cars. Each transaction was very quick. They were local. So I already have hardly any time invested in these. I'm not going to have to invest much more time into them to get them ready to sell. But you can see this one's real nice inside, like I was saying before I went off on a tangent again. Haven't done a YouTube video in a while, so I'm a little chatty. It's got a JVC upgraded deck. Nice, I guess. I'm a factory radio guy. I like the one in the green one more, to be honest. But at least you've got the at least you've got a aux jack. I'm going to start both of them up, but I guess I finally owe it to you to tell you which car she picked. She picked the green one. She liked the way it looked a little bit better. Obviously, it doesn't have a giant dent in the door, and the paint's better. I think she liked the green in general more than the red. And by the way, it came with this, I know it looks like something else, but it came with that on the keychain. Let's start this thing up. So that's the thing about this car. It's got some new parts, has a new starter, new coolant reservoir. The son of the older lady who had this, he was kind of a DIYer, and he did some stuff on this car for her. Like when she hit something in the front, he changed the bumper. They didn't attach it that well. It's a zip tie special. Both of them are held down by zip ties. These cars were meant to be together. I almost feel bad separating them. He did a bunch of little DIY stuff. The starter, he was religious about the oil changes, which is good. Full synthetic. He was running Mobil 1 in this thing. Can you believe it? But what else did he do this recently? The starter, there was a few other things this car's had done that the green one hasn't, but this one also needs AC. This battery is also new, newish, March, whereas this one needed a battery, was totally dead. But you can hear it runs great. That tick 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 you hear, it's not timing chain noise, that's the injectors, and they sound very healthy. And that's the only other issue these Cavaliers have that I forgot to mention. The fuel pumps are very weak in these cars. They're very sensitive. If you don't change your fuel filter every 30,000 miles, eventually it's going to quit on you. It's going to quit while you're driving. It's not like your typical car where you come out one day, it doesn't start. These will just crap out the fuel pumps. So this guy, I think he knew that, and he was always putting in Lucas fuel system cleaner in this car. And sometimes that can actually clog up your filter and cause more problems, but it seemed to have worked for this car because it runs fantastic. And what you hear, that ticking noise, it's really a clicking noise. It's the injectors, and they sound excellent. That's a healthy Ecotech right there, and it has no oil leaks of any kind. Valve cover, bone dry, transmission pan, timing cover gasket, you name it, they're all bone dry. And again, look at how nice that new coolant reservoir looks. So this one was taken care of mechanically and cosmetically in the inside. The outside, it's seen better days. So let me shut this one down, and we'll take our nice little key accessory here. We'll go over to the green one, which has keyless entry. That's quite the option for a Cavalier. Of course, it doesn't work. Well, the door unlock and lock doesn't work on the fob. It works inside the car with the button. But for whatever reason, the trunk release works. So pretty cool to have that in a Cavalier. There's the old dead battery. They both have their spares in it, the spare tire, which is good. If she ever gets a flat, I'll be the one going out there and changing it, but it's good to know the spare's in there. And this one also has pretty good tires on it. They're a little dry rotted because, you know, it wasn't getting driven much. Old lady's car, but they have good tread. But we're over at the green one now, and I'm going to start this one up. See that one? This one starts right up. You can see 89,000 miles. I'm not sure if I showed the odometer or the cluster on the red one, but same deal. No service lights. Great runner, no misfiring. The gas gauge is a little bit wonky in this one. I didn't even notice that till after I bought it. They got me good. Sending units obviously on its way out. Look at that nice uncracked dash bezel. That's what distracted me from the little issues in this car I didn't notice. Power windows, like I showed earlier. Great factory radio. Let's get that hood open and get a listen to this thing. Don't you love that? I don't even have that in my Malibu. You love it till it breaks, then you don't love it anymore. So you can see this engine is not as clean. But the engine's healthy. There's no timing noise. Typically when you hear the timing noise, it's coming from over here, obviously where the chains are. But you'll hear it's almost like a knock. It sounds like a bad lifter or something, or a whining noise when you're driving. Neither of these cars have that issue. They're both very clean engines inside. The oil's clean. There's no sludge that I can see. I haven't taken the valve covers off, but just looking in the oil cap and looking at the dipstick, they look clean, they sound clean, they run clean. This one's been sitting a lot for a while because Grandma wasn't really driving anymore, and it hadn't moved since May. I was the first person to start it since May. Now we're in October. Or pretty close to October. Today's the 28th or 7th, but I threw a battery in it, fired right up. It's got a little bit of valve cover weepage, but nothing that needs to be addressed right away. This car just needs an oil change, basic service. I'll buff out the headlights, probably secure this bumper a little bit better. And while I'm at the junkyard, if I can get a grill for it, I'll get one and paint it to match with a little Krylon can and throw it on. So this one will be quick and easy. This one, you know, it all depends on how far I decide to go with it. I'm going to throw some hubcaps on it for sure. The kid even painted the wheels. Again, it was his mom's car, but he took pretty good care of it. You know, because he said they were starting to get rusty looking like these. And he painted them. They look nice. And I'm sure some of you will say, oh, swap the good parts from this car to that car. But I think they're both pretty well balanced. I don't want to put too many good parts on one and the other one gets even worse, you know what I mean? So we're not going to steal too much from this car, even though it's the runt, the one that's not chosen. Look at how much nicer this engine looks though than this one, you know? You can't judge a book by its cover. But this car, I need to mount the things in the front properly, unlike the previous owner did, and get some hubcaps for it. Get the AC working in this one too. I may try to hammer out this dent here in the rear quarter. It's an accessible area. I feel like I can get that to pop out pretty decently. And with the door, unfortunately, there's no red Cavaliers at my local yards right now, and I'm not going to get a mismatched door. It's going to look even worse. So if a red one turns up before I sell it, great, I'll throw a door on it. If not, I'll probably pull the door panel off and bang it out the best I can. A little bit of suction cup action and sledgehammer, and even if it looks half as bad, it's still an upgrade. So that's probably all I'll do to this car. Again, I don't want to invest too much time in it because the resale value is not that high. Okay, a few little cosmetic things, boom, bang, send it down the road, grab some quick money for it. So that's the plan. Who knows, maybe I'll fall in love with it and keep it. If it was a manual, I probably would, but you know, the automatic doesn't do much for me, at least in a Cavalier. You can tell I'm excited. I love these cars. They're just honest, simple transportation, and any real car guy can get excited about that every once in a while. It doesn't always have to be a sports car, a luxury car. Well, you guys know me, I like all the weird stuff. Anyway, guys, if you're enjoying the Cavalier content, let me know, because I will take you along for the ride when I go get some parts for these things, do a little bit of work, show you how quick I can get these things turned around. This one's already sold. I don't even own this car anymore, you know? I'm just gonna do a couple things on it for her. Hey guys, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the next one.